How's it going, everybody? As I said in the blog video that came out yesterday, we're going to be having a little bit of a discussion of back and forth talking about Rebirth being necessary for the upcoming legendary character. We got a couple personalities. I'm joined by Mr. Scotty. You've seen him on my channel a bunch of times. MrHartgrave, actually MrHartgrave. And you've seen him, I think, once on my channel, and hopefully many more to come. I know a lot of you don't like him, but I love him, so he's here to stay. Get used to it. And we also got Jguiste coming in hot as well. I got a lot of different opinions from different spending levels, different places in the game, and I think that's going to give us a nice little encompassing look at what we're doing here. With that said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it right now. All right, before we get too much into it, Scotty, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. We've been hanging out all day. MrHartgrave, how was your Friday? Looking forward to the weekend?
Yeah, actually, I wish TwitchCon would be every weekend because I was actually able to pull a decent audience on Twitch tonight for a change, so that was kind of nice.
Nice. And how about you, Jguiste? How you doing? I know you just went for a walk with the kid.
Yeah, doing great. Just hanging out with the sun.
Nice. Perfect. Love to hear that. So let's ruin everybody's day. All right, we're talking about them getting snubbed. This is the first thing I want to talk about. So New Avengers kind of got snubbed by this change, right? Because for every single legendary character we've had since the implementation of this Scourge-like system, since Morgan Le Fay, there's been a premier team. The only somewhat, what is the word I'm looking for? Exemption to this rule was Bionic Avengers were really good in the Death Seed Scourge, but War Dogs were better. So that was kind of the outlier. Otherwise, it's been Dark Hunters at the time, garbage. A-Force at the time, garbage. Ravage at the time, good enough for a burn team, and then they were also Wave 1, that was garbage. The Inhumans were in there, that was garbage. Sinister Six has been in there, that was garbage. The most recent one, also X-Factor, that was garbage as well. And the team that they've announced, similar to the way that they announced New Avengers being needed for this upcoming Legendary, they were usable on both the nodes that had a trait restriction. They flipped the script on this if you're doing difficulty 8 and above. So let me get your feeling on just that idea that it's not... They told us New Avengers were needed for this. We kind of had a predetermined what that meant as far as legendary characters go based on the past. Maybe that's our fault. Actually, let's let you guys talk about that. Let's start with you, Jguiste. How do you feel about it needing 2 characters to push in difficulty 8? Just your gut feel on it.
So, on my perspective, I haven't touched New Avengers yet, and so this today is making me think like I have a decision to make. I either completely ignore New Avengers and save a ton of gear, ton of resources, and I opt out of basically the top levels of the Scourge, or I'm going to go all in on New Avengers because I need to get to difficulty 9 to make it worth it. So I got a decision to make.
Yeah, it's definitely putting people on a very tight timetable. Now that they don't just have to build one team, they might have to build 2 if they want to get, let's say, 6 yellow or higher. MrHartgrave, how does this make you feel, gut reaction to it?
Yeah, my gut reaction to it is just for me personally or like for the community, because it's 2 very different takes. Like, I'll just give you me personally,
yeah. Like
just for me and my account, I don't care. My Rebirth is already insane because I'm doing the 1.6. And I already have New Avengers built to like kind of a baseline level 85 kind of situation. And so I can go more into them. I got 200 gold orbs on reserve. It's not a big deal for me. And I'll make that decision on, when I see the rest of the nodes and when I actually start playing the Scourge. What you're saying there is very correct, though. Like, if you were planning ahead and we were kind of thinking about the past, then we would have went all in on New Avengers. I'm just fortunate that I didn't quite go all in. I didn't take him to level 95. I did take Ronin all the way to tier 18, which I would still recommend. Just for gear purposes, that's a pretty good one. But yeah, me personally, I'm in a pretty good spot on my account for this. I'm pretty flexible. I usually save a lot of resources back before the Scourge starts because I know it's just a total resource dump for me, especially if I get like engaged with it.
Right on. And how do you feel about it from the community perspective?
Community perspective, wow. What a curveball. And it's weird because I think for like newer players and mid-game players, it's actually kind of a good thing because you're only doing like around, difficulty 7 and below is where a lot of players are going to be. So only needing Rebirth, which is a great new player team and pretty accessible, that's pretty great. The only kind of bad part about that is having Rebirth probably phased out pretty soon. Like when we see the new incursion raid come in, Rebirth is going to be old news. But once again, for new players and mid-game players, they're just kind of getting into that content. They might not even be doing the incursion raids. Rebirth's a pretty great team for mid-game and new players, and they're just going to be able to lean on that and totally not build new Avengers, which they might not even have access to or might just have at very low star levels.
That's true. I would argue that Rebirth, well, we're going to talk about it. I would say that new Avengers are surprising a lot of people in other game modes, not just war defense that nobody cares about.
Team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
fun team.
We already got your opinion on this, Scotty, in the blog, so let's jump on over to the next slide, and let's let you take us off here. There's a new raid coming. What do you think Rebirth has any shot at holding on at all, Scotty?
I would be surprised. I mean, I hope that they can at least do something until we get the new team, but like I can see so many ways that they're going to struggle with any team, even without putting like silly like the rules that they put that basically killed Bionic Avengers this raid. I don't even know if they need to do that. They could just put certain enemies to kind of neutralize them, in the new raid. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, like when I face this team in Room 2 in Crucible, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to bring characters faster than 120 that have unblockable attacks, so I'm not giving them speed meter, and I'm going to kill this team before they get a turn. You know who does that? Icarus does that. They throw an Icarus Cersei on the node that Rebirth has to tackle. First of all, they're going to get rewound. They're going to get defense up and deflex flipped. And then maybe they're going to have another Noir like they have on the boss node. And your entire team is going to get instantly killed by Icarus flipping that defense up and then Noir demolishing you into those attacks. I could definitely see them just completely negating Rebirth. And also, like you said, they could do a stupid room rule thing and just say, hey,
Can't block.
no blocking. Yeah, exactly.
Can't block.
If you have a shield, drop your shield. Yeah, like we're done.
Like with BA, they were like, barrier? No barrier.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we suck now.
Yeah.
So they'll just be like, no block.
Yeah, exactly. Jutsi, what difficulty are you doing in the raids right now, and how much have you put into your Rebirth?
So we're pushing through them right now. So we're doing 1.4, but we'll be up into 1.6 now that the new tech team's out.
Mm-hmm.
But
And how
and
big
so my
is
Rebirth? So as you know, I'm in upper levels of Masters 3, Grandmasters of Crucible. So my Rebirth is like 1.6.
Not bad.
Yeah,
built them for the last season, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, built into the moon.
Right on. So you're going to be fine at least if you only go Rebirth, or you'd be fine if you built up your new Avengers. Now your Rebirth is ready. MrHartgrave, you're a big raid guy, so you got yours built up to the moon. Did you take any into Dark Dimension 6 by chance?
Yeah, I do recommend Captain America. I think he's a good Dark Dimension 6 pick. He feeds a lot of energy over to Apocalypse, which is nice. Just, not that it really matters how well you do on Dark Dimension 6, but it does kind of, it's a quality of life thing. And I kind of feel like Captain America is always a character that they're going to kind of revitalize over the years. So if you dump resources into him, it's probably going to be okay in the end.
Yeah, not like U.S. Agent. I mean, the only saving grace U.S. Agent could get is if they make a Hydra team with Madam Viper, and he somehow makes it a Thunderbolts team or whatever have you. Let justice for Yelena. Let's give Yelena a home. So that'd be okay. But
pretty bad. She got done pretty dirty.
What I would say,
that whole team, still military, really in general.
Well, Red Guardian found use. The minions are trash. Killmonger got taken off the team. Black Widow got taken off the team. Yeah,
pretty bad.
But I think one thing that people maybe miss and that we should talk about. There was a section in this raid tier that was unbearable, and there was a section that was nearly unbearable. So tech was unbearable, but Mystic was dumb. People didn't want to do it, but you could get through it. It was not the same as tech. I'm thinking maybe this is them trying some sort of nicety by having us build more into our Rebirth, people who are being super competitive, because maybe Bio is going to be the second last section, and Rebirth will be the team you have to use, but they're going to suck. But if you have them a little bit bigger, you'll be able to climb a little bit further in incursion rates too. So what do you guys think about that? Again, let's start with you, Scotty. What do you think about the idea that maybe they're trying to push people to build Rebirth to cushion the blow when the next raid hits? Because otherwise we're just going to get demolished.
I just don't think that they're that nice.
I want to throw out there too that we don't have anything that we're going on that. That's not like there's been no statements that I've heard in meetings or envoy meetings or anything that have alluded to that. That's total speculation on your behalf.
Yeah, I just know that for the last I think it's 3 raid tiers. Jutsi, you were telling me this. They phased out 3 raid teams. So if I look at the next raid tier and I'm thinking they're going to try and phase out 3 raid teams, it's not going to be Pegasus. It's not going to be Bifrost. Death Seed is the oldest team released, followed closely by Rebirth and then Invaders. So in my mind, Death Seed, Rebirth, and Invaders are on the chopping block. Invaders will be the last one they replace, so that'll be the last section. So in my mind, it's either Bio or Mutant is going to be the second last section that we're going to be suffering through. So that's kind of the deduction I made. I can't imagine a world where it's going to be easy with Rebirth, so maybe this is going to help in the long run anyway. So maybe there's that little silver lining, but I'm not sure. We kind of touched on this a little bit, and that was their use outside of raids. So why don't we touch on that a little bit again? Dark Dimension 6, they seem to be really good. This is one of the global nodes. You can see for every single person that one-shot the node, Captain America and Peggy Carter are both there. So if you're looking for quality of life, I would definitely suggest doing those two. Hartgrave brought up...
more on Captain America as well. Captain America's kit is better outside of raids. Carter is kind of locked to the team and raids. So if you're gonna do Captain Carter, make sure you have Captain America. But both of them as a team, that's a pretty solid duo.
Yeah, if we're looking at like which characters we want to build up, if we're trying to really participate in this Scourge, Captain America would be the first because, as Hartgrave said, his plug and play value outside, he's at least a tank. He at least gives energy. He at least blocks. He also gives immunity to his team. He does have a war defense team with that Heroes for Hire that me and Scotty love to face every single war with Dark Hunters that do absolutely nothing. Peggy Carter, she's like the Viv Vision of the team. Without the rest of her team, she's not really doing much. It's like an okay heal. It's a little bit of damage. It's just
that's where you want the power, though, on that team. If you have a big Captain America and Captain Carter, then they're going to carry the other members.
Well, I will say that I gear tiered 18 my Agent Venom, and he is hyper carrying in the raids until I unlocked Skrull, and then Agent Venom gets benched. So that was great. That was really good bio gear tier 18 I used. That felt fantastic. So as far as building for DD6, they seem to have value. But does this team have value in, let's say, we got that satellite thing coming forward? They talked about a tower about a month ago that was in the blog. Cosmic Crucible, do you think this team, Rebirth, will have any use going forward? They kind of had it last season, a little bit this season. Where else could we use them? Scourge.
They're a great blitz team.
They're a good blitz team. Perfect. So we get higher scores with our blitz team if we build them higher. If you weren't being forced to build them higher, would you have done that at all? Or do you just build this team to where they work in raids, and if they don't work in the raids because of mechanical reasons, would this team just get dumpstered for you? Let's start with you, Mr. Hartgrave.
Yeah, I have a actually really unique perspective on this that I actually can't fully talk about yet. But let's just say hypothetically, if you were facing a full 7 red, gear 18, fully maxed out Isotope 5 Rebirth in Cosmic Crucible, that might actually be a lot of trouble that you're not really ready for. Especially if it's an entire 6 stacked rooms. That Rebirth, once Rebirth gets that large past your power levels, that I think we've seen that kind of before. I believe they were boosted at one point, and very large Rebirth, like if you can't get them underneath a certain health level, they kind of just
bounce back. They keep just balancing out.
They snowball on you, and it's really hard to stop them once they're at that point. So there is some value in an insanely built Rebirth, I feel. Now, do you want to do that with your resources? Probably not. But if you're one of these big account Kraken types, I think they're going to find use in this insane, Rebirth team that you might end up building to, do difficulty 10 or whatever you're going to do on the Scourge. It's not going to be me, but you might be able to stop a guy like me in Crucible if you have such a thing in your toolbox.
True, and people innately will just underestimate it, so they're not going to automatically hit it with Masters of Evil or New Warriors, or they'll try and Unlimit it, and then Agent Venom is going to one-shot Rogue, because Unlimited is a horrible team. So
and allegedly, just stay tuned to my channel, and you might see more on that, allegedly subject to change.
There you go.
There you go.
What about you, Jguiste? Did you have any plans to build this team further than you already had for the past Crucible season?
No, because I saw the writing on the wall. Rebirth is probably not making it through the next raid tier.
Yeah.
The question is it going to get the Mystic treatment where it kind of it didn't scale up the difficulty ladder, or is it going to get Bionic Avenger where it's just dead, like out the gate?
Yeah.
The difficulty 1, they're just dead. And so I don't think Rebirth survives the next raid, and so I didn't want to invest more than I need to.
Yeah. And Scotty?
I wasn't planning on investing in them anymore. I mean, I took Captain America to Dark Dimension and didn't regret it. I didn't do Peggy. I definitely didn't do Agent Venom. And I mean, we don't know how they're going to do in the next raid, so I don't want to put more into them. And for a lot of people, yes, like you need them to move through raids currently, and it is a good investment for a lot of people. I think it's just within that top 500 that's going to be the difference. Like, people have invested, but are you going to gear tier 18 all of them? Because that's what the Krakens are going to have, and that might be the difference in that top 500, 50, etc. is the difference between having them all gear tier 18 and not. And I definitely don't want to do gear tier 18 on any more of them.
You know what? That's actually a really good point, because I think the Krakens might actually enjoy this. I don't know. Do we have a Kraken here?
They're super happy about it. I have seen them
then they're happy about it, because it's going to
shouting to the rooftops.
It's going to keep me out. Guys like me, and I think guys like you, right, Dorky? You don't want to do tier 18 on Rebirth to go into difficulty 10, if that's what it requires.
Nah, I will settle for top 500 this trial.
Yeah.
I've been top 50 literally every single legendary event since Morgan Le Fay. I'm not gonna bother this time, unless for some reason the Rebirth lane the Rebirth node is auto at what I have, which is a bunch of them at gear tier 17. I'm not gonna do it. I'll just settle for top 500, because you know what? Dark Motion credits, they're not like widely available now, but they're a lot more common. So I'll get that 5-star on the new legendary, the 5 red star. I'll just buy it.
Yeah, I actually caved on Black Cat. I just bought the 5th red. I was like, I'm gonna hold out, and then I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want to build all this stuff I would have to build to earn that 5th red. So I was like, I'll just buy it with the dark promo credits. And you know what? I'm about to buy the 7th red on Apocalypse, so I'm doing fine.
There you go. What were you about to say, Scotty?
Well, I think that's a good point, is like, don't panic build anyone.
Yeah.
Until the Scourge comes, because maybe the Rebirth node is not going to be crazy, and it's not going to be the deciding factor. Like, maybe
it could end up being Ravager minions, right? There was a good example of a lot of panic building going on, and then we hit it, and it's like, oh, this is a freebie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will be bringing one character to gear tier 18, Tigra. She's going to be the bio character I bring to gear tier 18, because she is literally a beast. She is literally a beast. If you face that team, a big team like that in Crucible, you know that it's not just a war defense team. But if you face that team in war defense, you know that team is like a run on sight for a big one. So we're kind of jumping the gun here. We started talking about outcomes. I think there's other things to talk about, like We don't even know who the next legendary character is. We know it's a he. We know they talk about explosions. That's what we know. I'm gonna say Havoc, and he probably swings around with Spider-Man on his glider, is what I would think. I don't know why everyone is like, is it Green Goblin? So they're just trying to drive people crazy. I'm like 99,000% sure it's him. Regardless, it's gonna come down also to like, how good is the next legendary and what are they used for? Because a lot of people, they see Crucible and they're like, I don't care about that as a game mode. We just had a war team. We just had the arena team. The other mode is Crucible. So everyone's kind of assuming it's going to be Crucible because we also just got a raid team. Unless, and this would be funny, hear me out, what if the next legendary character is Bio and is a raid legendary character and is going to replace Rebirth? I can hear the screams of 100,000 mad dorks. Yeah, it'd be great.
The explosive null.
Yeah, the explosive null, exactly. He throws symbiotes and they take over people that do explosives. But there's going to be...
But that's another thing. Like, wait to see who the legendary is going to be and what it's going to be for. Because maybe you're not going to want to build the dying raid team for Crucible, which you already don't care about. Like,
exactly.
It's not like you're not getting this legendary character. You're still going to get them, but they just may not be 5 red, 7 yellow. You're still going to get them in a mode that you don't care about. So don't build a dying team for a character that you don't need at that level.
And this is the silver lining, is I think that this is going to be a very available legendary because Rebirth is an extremely available team.
Yep.
And the difficulty 7 is going to get you the unlock and then some. Yep. So that's actually good news for a lot of players who normally get locked out of these legendaries on their first runs.
So then they can just focus on Rebirth and not build new Avengers too big because maybe they're not big into war and they can still get this character.
There you go. But that also brings up an interesting conversation that was brought up in Twitch chat is, if people decide to just settle, there will probably be gridlock at difficulty 7 max scourges because the rest of the nodes, you may be able to auto them. So the people are going to be at difficulty 7 max scourges fighting over efficiency at that point, which could be super ugly. It also means that the competitive...
You can almost bet that's going to happen, yeah.
I guarantee it's going to happen. But how many people are going to have both teams at least able to do difficulty 8 so that maybe that only happens down in the percentile brackets, and then it's not as stressful for people to fight over that. But speaking of which, this is going to kind of shrink in the numerical people in the competitive brackets. Like, not everybody wanted to build new Avengers as it was. They thought they were going to have to because we all assumed it was going to be a really crappy team like Shadowlands and there was going to be no choice even to get the unlock. Well, they flipped that on its head now. So now people can really ignore new Avengers and just do Rebirth because they may already have them. And then it's going to really kind of crunch those percentile brackets. It's going to crunch the amount of people that actually make the leaderboard in some situations as well. Hey, Belle, how's it going?
She has opinions as well, apparently.
She has opinions as well. There you go. So I'm interested to get your take on the implications it's going to have as far as the leaderboards and people being competitive. Not like, is it worth it, but what's going to happen structurally. Jutsi, why don't you kick us off on that?
Yeah, so I think that you're going to see, as you said, you really, especially if you're somebody like me who doesn't spend much money on this game at all, you have to think, like, you can save almost a whole team worth of building by not building new Avengers if your Rebirths, because you're needing Rebirth for the raids. Mm-hmm. And D7 is auto with if you're able to do incursions 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, your rosters are probably big enough to just auto through D7. And you're going to get yourself a 5-star. So you're asking yourself, are you going to just be okay with the 5-star? Or are you going for a 7? And therefore, you're going to have to invest to the moon new Avengers. And so you got to sit there and think about that. If you're someone like me, like that's my debate. Like, am I just going to be okay with the 5-star? And that's a good reason why to wait till next week before you build anything, right? Because once you see the team, once you see the character, if I'm excited for him, I'm push New Avengers. If I don't like the team or the character, I'm probably not touching New Avengers at all.
Exactly.
You know.
What do you think is going to happen structurally with the leaderboards and all that, MrHartgrave?
Oh God, I don't know if I care. My advice tends to be to ignore the leaderboards as a, regular player of this game. It's usually healthier if you just never look. And don't buy into that FOMO kind of business. And yeah, this advice of just like not doing New Avengers is probably pretty good advice. Now, the only thing is I do see the developers kind of like, this was a rug pull. They basically told the community, okay, you're going to need to build New Avengers if you want the new Legendary. And now they're like, no, you don't. Nah, you can just use Rebirth if you want like the 5-star version of the Legendary, which, by the way, 5 stars is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with the 5-star version of any Legendary character. I don't think there's ever been an issue with that. I've existed on that in the end game. I'm at a very high level and I've unlocked Legendary characters at 5 stars and been just fine until I catch up and get the other stars, which you will eventually get. They will hand them to you. You theoretically never need to build New Avengers. Now, this does put them in a unique position where I feel like people are going to want more value out of New Avengers. So are they going to be required for something else down the road? Are they going to be a part of some Cosmic Crucible rules? Are they going to find a way to get you to build them in some other way now? I don't know why they did that to themselves. Like, why not just leave them alone as the Scourge team? That was enough selling point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess now they're the leaderboard tiebreaker team.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't know, man.
And I mean, as Dorky kind of said earlier in the blog, it doesn't technically say it's only going to be one node each.
Yeah. I mean, it could be New Avengers are needed for nodes 1 and 2, and Rebirth are needed for nodes 9 and 10. And then maybe you can still do difficulty 8, 9, and 10 because Rebirth aren't needed for the final nodes. We don't know. There's a lot of structural things we don't know. And Scotty, I'm really glad you brought that up because that brings up what I think is the most interesting perspective here to have. For Nova, they skipped it for Black Cat. We had no idea what they're doing for Black Cat's awakened abilities. But for Nova, the awakened abilities are hidden, or at least gated, in the Nova milestones when he appears. So whatever this next legendary is, let's call him Green Havoc. Whatever the next legendary is, his awakened abilities might be buried at needing 1.5 million points, which you simply cannot do at difficulty 7. There's not enough points with all the Scourges equipped to hit that number. So this could be another way that they're gating awakened abilities. Let me get your thoughts on that, Scotty.
I hope not.
Can we curse here?
Yeah.
Because, like, with Black Cat, I'm really hoping they're doing something different with her, and that's why it's taking so long.
Yeah.
I don't even want to put that in.
That's a really horrible implication, sir. What you've just stated, but it could be true.
Why'd you have to go there?
Yeah.
Listen, I think up like evil things, but they think up like really evil things, like making Rebirth a requirement for a node. I didn't think that up. They thought that up. They thought that up for a reason. I don't know what it is. Yeah, MrHartgrave, what do you think about that? You kind of
that's a good thing to like. So there probably is a reason. There's probably a reason why they're picking Rebirth. I mean, I think the simplest reason is that they want to make, like you said, we all get the feeling that Krakens and whales are happy about this. If you're a Kraken or whale watching this, let us know down in the comments. That helps engagement and lets us know where you're at. Is it just to make the Krakens and whales happy? It's to kind of get us guys that don't spend a lot of money out of their bracket? Is that what this is about? Or is there some other motive going on? Is there some mechanical reason why they're doing that? Are they... Yeah, I mean, I really felt shut out of the Champions leaderboard for what is it, Nova? With the 1.9 million, we were able to get that reduced to 1.7, but still, I wasn't able to max that out. I could not hit 1.7 on that. I got the orbs but I did miss like 5 tier 18s that I don't really care about. But still, on all the other scourges on the champions leaderboard, I'm able to get down to the bottom of it. Is this one, and this is why I'm kind of like still building new Avengers, because I'm thinking resource wise, every time this leaderboard comes around, I want to get down to the bottom of it. I feel like if I don't build new Avengers, I won't be doing that. So there's a reason to build it regardless, is if you kind of have your eye on the long game. You probably don't need them the first time around, but eventually you might want to have new Avengers and new Avengers in place so that you can max out that leaderboard at whatever point total it might be at, whatever inflated crazy point total they come up with.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jose, this one is going to be very specific to you because the awakened abilities for Black Cat, they make arena offense better. The awakened abilities for Nova, they make war offense better. But you're a Crucible guy. Assuming this is a Crucible team, the awakened abilities for this Crucible team might be the only way to mirror it, or maybe it'll be the only way that they beat something like Super Skrull. Again, I'm kind of assuming it's not going to be a raid team because we just got Pegasus. As a Crucible player, that's like, I don't know, are you like free to play Jason or baby spender? How does it make you feel knowing that the awakened abilities, if they are slotted like Nova, might be out of your reach unless you build both teams?
I mean, I had to see the thing is, this is kind of going back to if you're someone like me who doesn't spend a ton of money, it behooves you to not invest, to just sit and wait for a week.
Yeah.
Right? We got to see the kits, and we got to see what the awakened abilities are, because look at Nova. You can do without ever awakening a Nova's skills.
Yep.
You know? Whereas Black Cat's a big deal. Like, some of her skills have big implications. And so, let's see the awakened abilities, right? If we get a Nova level awakened ability, then I'm not going to care. Right? It's not going to change anything. It may change one matchup, like a mirror match. But as we've seen, like, we can always figure out a way to circumvent whatever defenses they throw out at us. Just give us a week or two, and the community will come up with something on that front. But it's just like, is the ability material going to be worth it?
Yeah. I mean, there could be a line in the kit, hey, on awakened passive, stop enemy turn bar gain. and then that's for Skrull, right? Because unless it's just to counter itself in a mirror, the new team, you got to assume, unless they make it like Unlimited X-Men. Jesus Christ, don't have the next Crucible team be as bad as Unlimited X-Men. It's going to have to do something special for people to care about it.
Yeah, here's the other problem too. We're talking about.
Go ahead, Hargrave.
Yeah, here's the other problem too. We're talking about like building both teams to get the awakened abilities. I've awakened like one ability. Like there's like, it takes so long. It wouldn't matter how many teams I had built. Those orbs are so bad. Unless they really change the structure to make them like actually be able to awaken the character within like a reasonable time frame. I'm so far away as a guy that does not spend a lot of money on this game from awakening anything on anyone. If it's like on a kind of pay to awaken kind of schedule, it wouldn't matter. I would just lose. Like, all right, I just lose Crucible then at that level.
Fair enough. What about you, Scotty?
What was the question? I feel like we've gotten so off.
It was about the awakened abilities, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, if they start putting those, at a point where you can only even start to get them RNG basis once again, right? Usually that's what we're looking at. Mm-hmm. If you build both teams, like if you just have Rebirth, you're not even going to be anywhere near those awakened abilities. You got to have both teams. What is that?
I guess I would have to see them first. It's like with Nova, like, yeah, his awakened abilities would be nice, but like,
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's end this on a positive note.
That was a dark note. That was really
that was a dark day.
You just went really dark there.
Let's end this on a positive note. I'm gonna give the most glowing reason Scopely could have done this. I'm going to ask all of you to do the same. So the most glowing reason they could have done this, in my opinion, is that if you do difficulty 8 and you want to use Rebirth, there is going to be a activate raid tags in the Scourge. And then you are going to be able to destroy that node, but the new Avenger node is going to be hell, because you're going to have to use new Avengers against raid characters like Bifrost. Did you not experience that in CC? Wasn't that so much fun? But if you are somebody doing difficulty 7 and lower, you're then going to be able to use your Rebirth to smash that node. So it'll be super easy for everybody to get the unlock and get through those 2 nodes because of the Rebirth tags. And this is actually going to be cracking hell when they're trying to push those nodes because they're fighting raid teams. That is the most favorable thing I can give them. Jguiste, what do you think is the most favorable way to look at Rebirth being necessary here or usable here?
As I said, for people who are skipping new Avengers, you're saving yourself a metric ton of focus catalysts.
Ooh.
And other TLGO pieces.
True. So there is just the theory that, hey, if you don't care to get that 7-star, 6-star legendary right off the bat, you are saving a buttload of resources on arguably a luxury team, though I would say new Avengers are pretty outstanding. What do you think, MrHartgrave?
Most glowing reason that they might be doing this. I'm going to assume, all right, so one of the reasons why they gate a character sometimes is because they would be so devastating at lower game levels that they would just like if we lit the big version of the new legendary character, let's say they're a Cosmic Crucible character, into low-level Cosmic Crucible, anyone that didn't have them or didn't have them big enough would basically just be entirely crippled out in Cosmic Crucible. So maybe they were doing this to limit the size of them, like we saw when Silver Surfer came into the game, and some other, notable characters have come in, and they try to keep them kind of small for the mid game and the new player guys. Maybe that's the strategy here. If I'm being really nice, which I probably don't have any reason to be.
True, yeah. So if people get like a mid-size Havoc, and he pairs them with the X Factor team, and then Multiple Man gets hit, so there's 6 of them, and then you have the multiple 6 team on the field in Crucible. That could be great. Scotty, what do you think is the most glowing reason they would be doing this?
It is potentially for the majority of people, like not fighting for top 500. Now you don't have to invest in a war defense team to get a decent unlock.
They're kind of fun on war offense, by the way.
Yeah,
I'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. They will never let us put them on offense. And that's another thing. The reason I think that we might be getting raid tags now instead of war tags is because they kind of unlocked so much of new Avengers to both offense and outside of war in general. I think they're going to lean into the raid tag being a Scourge, and it's going to be a bitch of a double-edged sword. Anyway, guys, we have dragged on for 40 minutes now. I hope you found this conversation entertaining. I hope we hit on everything. If we didn't hit on something that piques your interest involving this topic, let us know in the comment sections below, and I'll make sure I go through all those like I always do. I literally always go through the comment sections and normally leave with hurt feelings. But if there's something interesting there, we'll have a little bit back and forth. And as always, stay happy, healthy, have fun, and guys, have a great night. Everybody say bye.
Bye.
And make sure you go check out Jguiste's YouTube channel, and of course MrHartgrave's channel, and both of their streams as well. Links to those will be in the comment section and in the description. Take care, guys.
Keep dorking.
Keep dorking, guys. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.